All right, we are here, Quinnbrook Farms. Oh, Afriel is the first one in. Congratulations. We are the four left awake. Everyone else has gone to bed or gone to their hotels. We are in my sister's barn, where we have spent most of our time doing our estuary thing. And with us, we have Mark D. Parker, serial killer. And we have this guy, Neil Daedalus, and we've got the original United Rando. That's our own Jeff P., who is also deep friends with Robot Lady. So I was just kind of thinking about heading to bed, and we were sitting around joking around, and said, "Oh, we could do a live stream," because I haven't had much for the channel. So here we are doing a live stream, but the computer's way over there. So Chris Young, hey, Griswold Grimm. That's right. I've got my LARPgate gear on right here. So, all right, we're live streaming. What are we going to do? And somebody want to get a report from? We've had 1.5 days of estuary work here. So I don't know. What say you all?
You have good questions, so ask us some questions.
Okay. When I said that the farm was pretty but rustic, was I right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. I wish we could swivel around and show this whole barn. There's so much cool stuff here.
We got some of these authentic Russian folk paintings. The guy who had this farm was a Russian Nazi.
Twice removed.
Who tried to take back Russia from the communists and thought fascism would do the trick. And he spent the Second World War in jail, put in there by the FBI. So how you like that, Grim Grizz? How you like that for a connection to the agency? So, hey, Mark, miss you, brother. Aww.
Who said that?
I don't know, Jesse
Rain.
Rain.
Ron Copperman.
Thank you. Ron Copperman. So we've got the Mark D. Parker corner of the corner. We have the Randys United. And then, you know, what are we going to, we've got Friday Morning Nameless. I mean, you don't really have, you're really just part of the Friday Morning Nameless group.
Yeah, I'm
the truth.
I believe in the spirit of the corner. But I've been on Mark's channel a lot.
That's true.
I've been on his channel a lot.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, what do we want to talk about?
This was my very first in-person event. Like I had not done anything, and I was just talking to Mark. I'll speak up. But I was just talking to Mark about this as PVK was getting all of his gear, and I feel like this level or this size of event, I actually had the opportunity to talk to everyone individually. Like I didn't feel like, I mean, I'm sure I could talk to Jeff for a couple more hours. I could talk to Mark for a couple more hours. I could talk to you for a couple more hours. But like, I didn't feel like there was someone here that I just never got to talk to. And I imagine that being the case at a Northwest Estuary size event. And so that felt really nice to me.
Yeah, it is nice. So we've got basically 12 people plus me, and my sister and brother-in-law are running around keeping us fed and, you know, lighting fires and, you know, to keep us warm and all those kind of things. And we've just been sort of doing the estuary protocol and having conversations. And Jason's wife, Jason from Elsnet, his wife is a professional musician, and she sang tonight, and we all sang, so it was cool. It was cool. I just subscribed to More Nuts Than Bolts. I finally found that.
You want to explain what that is?
He just mirrors his channel. He just has 2 channels. That's
Yeah.
So
that's the only way I can read the comments because my eyesight.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the comments on here too. So
I got boomer eyesight here.
Yeah, me too. His old boomer eyesight. So okay, well, impressions of the event so far.
The other thing I thought was really neat is that we had basically 4 fractal layers of how we met. So we had like the big group, which is 13, 14 of us. And then we broke up into 2 groups, which are 7 each, which is roughly the size of your typical estuary. But then at lunch, we tended to accumulate, or meals, we tended to accumulate at groups of like 3 or 4. And then in between, it's like the 2s and the 3s almost. So it's almost like there were spaces for the individual layers. And aside from like the introductions almost, it felt like to me that every layer flowed naturally from the previous layer. It felt like it was just a natural progression. Like we would talk about a topic in the 7-person group, come back together, we kind of circle around similar topics, or we interrelate our 2 groups and we become one big group. Yeah, and then same thing on the smaller.
So I'm reading the questions here, and Dave Busatil, one will betray him.
We need at least 12 to have a betrayer, you know.
Well, we have 12.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So, but we have women in our 12. So you're all going to think of that one way or another. Who will betray Paul with a holy kiss? Nobody's kissed me yet. So nobody. We don't know who Judas is yet. Most of the. So there's a new guy, Daniel, who I didn't know at all, who's been to this conference. That's been fun. He's very new to the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, who will Paul give the holy kiss? Oh, Chris Young, don't you know your Bible story? Judas kisses Jesus, not the other way around. Are you saying I'm Judas? So which one of the randos is Jesus, huh? Maybe.
Although we did make a particular bet that if we win, then we get to shave his beard, but only if we win.
If we win what?
What we can't talk about the bet. So no, I'm just making
Well, Mark D. Parker is a serial killer, of course. So I guess he would be qualified.
Okay, here's another thing. All 3 of these gentlemen are much taller than me.
Yeah, we can all stand up.
True.
We can all
And
stand up right now.
I'm not particularly short. I'm just normal.
Actually, we're standing up, and Neil is on a high chair.
Right now. Actually, he is standing. That's
Yeah.
It's like when I met Chad for the first time. I felt like he was just gonna scoop me up in his arms and just, it's so nice to meet you.
We can have a little boy baby to be friends with our girl baby.
We need that one for an episode of the news.
So actually what we've been doing is gossiping about the corner the whole time.
We have.
So we've all been talking about all of you.
It's been a fair bit, man.
There has been more corner gossip at this live event than any live event so far. And y'all are dying to know who we've actually been talking about. And we will never tell.
I prefer to think of it as corner clarification.
Is that a sociology reference? Is that?
There you go. That's a
Okay.
pun right there.
There you go. Yeah.
We have talked about Clara and the fact that Clara is not here, and this would have been a tremendous experience to continue to study us.
Yeah.
We the lab rats of the corner. And but this is
Here's a question for you, Paul. Just looking at who's in the chat audience, who do we wish was here? Do we
all of you,
all of them.
everyone,
everybody. Okay.
No, I've got a hierarchy. My hierarchy is more transparent than your typical cornerator, but you know, I've got a hierarchy.
Well, name names. Go for it.
Chad the alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I
Noah Foxman. Sorry, Chad the girl dad. I'm sorry.
What about Luke
Noah
Thompson?
McMo. I'd love to meet McMo. McMo, man, has yet to make it to a real meeting. Just got hit with a hurricane. Like, I got to get McMo to the Chicago event. Got to do it. One way or the other. Got to do it.
Yep.
I wondered how well Grim Grizz would do here, because unlike other conferences when you can flit around like a hummingbee, this is hardcore estuary. You sit down for hours on end, hard focus, concentration. I mean, Grim Grizz would be getting up to have his little vape and smoke breaks, but I don't know. I don't know if he could take it. I don't know if he could take it.
That's a challenge.
Satori has been here. Satori is staying at a friend's house, so he went to his friend's house. But yep, Satori has been here. It's been great. He is the Gimli of the fellowship. He certainly is. And we talked about that. Actually, that reference was made.
I know. Okay, tomorrow morning, I want you to look at Sartori's forearms. His forearms are like he would be an insane arm wrestler. I know way too much about arm wrestling. You know, it's very weird. But like if you look at his forearm,
kind of
like his forearm's as big as his bicep.
Yeah,
Like what?
he's got
Like,
Popeye's forearm.
Yeah.
Ron Copperman says, you guys look like a movie poster for Goodfellas. Well, that's his haircut that does it for you.
Ron, we gotta get we gotta
We wanna
get
get
Ron.
Ron.
Yeah, we gotta get Ron to one of these events,
I-
and
I-
David Busatil too.
Yeah, we
Wanna
need
meet
to,
David?
we need to
Yeah.
crank up the Pentecostal side of the Florida.
I want to do a shout out for Ron because he had a 4-hour conversation with Clara, and
That's
and it's very few views, but
Gotta see it.
honestly, I had a better insight into charismatic Christianity than anything I've ever watched related to the corner from that 4-hour conversation with Clara. So, but it's on Ron Copperman's channel.
Oh, okay.
Shout out. For
And
that.
we sat around here for 4 hours and watched it.
No, we-
That's all we do at these events. We
We
sit
just-
here and watch YouTube
We watch YouTube.
and leave trolley comments.
Yeah.
We did have some commenting about troll advocacy or troll apologists.
Troll apologist.
Jeff came out as a troll apologist.
Well,
so-
I was following Tayo's lead.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Kyle's a good guy to follow.
Yeah.
Joy is in the comment section. It was so much fun to meet Joy up in Olympia. So, but yeah, Grizz would be fun to be here because it'd be really. I want my family to meet Grizz because I think
They don't believe he's real.
they don't really know much about him,
It was a joke.
but he's not like everyone else.
Yeah, he's different.
Yeah.
I think we should have, I wish we'd have Jacob here.
Oh, I'd love to have
That
Jacob
would've
here.
been really interesting.
I'd love to
Well,
have Jacob here.
Alan told us that Grizz is a thespian, a professionally trained actor who plays Grim Grizz.
You fooled me. Like I was.
Yeah. He and his alter ego. All right. Do any of you actually think any of these posters are politically correct? I think they're not.
Yeah, I was trying to keep him off the video.
Yeah, I think they are really not politically correct. For as sincere as my sister is with respect to them,
Yeah.
I think people might be offended because I'm sure AI just completely messed up all of the symbolism and regalia and all of those things.
Did AI do those?
Oh yeah, she did them all with AI.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
What about all the paintings in Kale in my room? Somebody said
Those are hers, too.
Those are, but
Hi,
with
Joy.
AI or with?
Probably some of both. So,
Yeah.
um,
Why? And I just noticed this. You got what is that? It's like a Celtic cross?
yeah, my sister is super eclectic.
Yeah.
So she picks stuff up. Nobody's gone up and looked at that picture yet. And when you do, that'll be interesting. That was part of her MFA in art, and it's super interesting. So I think this is a very boring live stream. I don't know what we need to do. We need.
You want to talk about trolls a little bit?
Maybe we should practice a little Estuary. Who wants to pitch a topic?
I'll pitch a topic.
All right.
Okay. So, how do you we were talking about this. How do you separate out an edifying troll? What identifies an edifying troll from a sabotaging troll? You know, so like I gave the example of punk rock. I really like the example of punk rock because it works really well. So the example of punk rock, you basically have two veins. You've got the type of punk rock that wants to no you don't want me to do this.
I just remember last time you gave this analogy, it was like, now we're gonna do it. Am I gonna get demonetized with this analogy?
No, I don't
You
think
can
so.
censor. You can censor.
All right.
But so okay, in punk, yeah, no, I'm not cursing or anything. Like, you know, we're fine. Like, okay, so well, there's a strain of punk rock that just hates the world and is full, you know, resentment
man.
and and just wants to destroy everything and burn it all down.
Right.
And you know, and whatever happens, and just it's mostly anger. It's mostly anger.
Some men just want to
You
see
know.
the world burn.
Yeah, and then there I won't do the thing. I won't say that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. That
Yeah,
was what I was
remember
worried about.
what-
I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was, but I remember I laughed hard,
Yeah,
and it would
I-
be inappropriate. That's all I remember.
I have more bolts than nuts, so we're good. So the other type
Maybe
of
I'll show you my sound.
the other type of punk rock is it basically pokes fun at it pokes fun at the hypocrisy. You know, I remember, for example, the Green Day American Idiot album. That was hugely influential on me, because in our anger, we were just pointing that anger at whatever direction we wanted to point it at. And it didn't matter if it was Iraq or Afghanistan. Like we were just going to take our anger and point it at something.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that album and punk rock, generally speaking, is like to point out the hypocrisy
Right.
of
Point
the
out.
thing. So in so doing, of pointing out the hypocrisy, you are actually edifying the thing. You are actually helping it and building it up. It's like, yeah.
To me, it's like jester role versus joker role.
Yeah. Oh, and yes.
You are the universal translator for the corner.
Yes.
You really are.
I guess.
Yeah. I like that.
Fun fact, I can't find any proof of this, but my brother dug into my family's history, or our family's history,
Yeah.
and he claims that we descend from a jester in Henry VIII's court.
That's awesome.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I like
Yeah.
telling that story.
Oh, you look very English.
Yeah. Well, I'm
It's like-
definitely very English from
Yeah.
from the
Like just the I don't know, the
Yeah.
shape of your.
and I mostly speak English,
Yeah, that's good.
not very well, but
Excellently.
Yeah.
Hmm.
so your jester versus joker pitch,
Yes.
right? When it comes to trolls, how do you differentiate between the two?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
well, you take a character like Severus Snape in Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
where you're pretty sure Snape is on that, let's say, the bad side. He's actually not doing well for most of it. Spoiler alert. He's actually on the good side. But J.K. Rowling really plays with that, really like pushes that almost to the limit, where the thing is suddenly reversed all the way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know until the whole story basically plays out.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Are the rest of us pitching, or is that a pitch and a vote
Well,
at the same time?
that's a pitch, but I don't know if I can hit it.
Yeah.
Clint wants to know what did Mark Parker think of punk rock? Well, there's a relatively modern version of punk rock I like called the Sleaford Moth. Job Seeker. Check it out. The name of the song is Job Seeker.
Well, speak up, 'cause Mike's over there. I don't know if they can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Sleaford Moths. Check them out.
Mark D. Parker, serial killer, has been repeatedly called out for soft talking during the Estuary, and
Oh yeah.
which is kind of a funny thing, because as part of the older contingency with me, you would think that he would speak louder just so that we can hear ourselves. But
he comes from the oldest contingency, which is speak softly and carry a big stick.
have you had a big stick, Mark D. Parker? I mean, serial killer. I mean, is the stick your weapon of choice, or?
I keep my stick in my pants.
There goes
See?
See?
This is PBK after hours.
Neil was right. Neil said nothing good happens in the corner
After 9 o'clock.
after 9 o'clock. And Mark D. Parker, serial killer, just
Prove the point.
proved the point.
He just killed it.
He just killed it.
I'm looking forward to my
You know-
shot at the Freddie and Paul show.
Oh, we don't talk that way on the Freddie and Paul
Oh,
show.
I would clean it
It's
up.
a family-friendly variety show. We have music, we have dance.
I can bring the Carol Burnett.
There
thing
you go.
with us.
There you go.
I can do that.
I'm looking back over greatest pitches of the last few days.
Oh yeah.
We had some good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark D. Parker actually had a very memorable moment in terms of, what was he? Can't tell the fools anything.
No, it's
No, when
to
you're trying to
convince you people of
convince somebody.
anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you people.
Yeah, you people. Got a little Ross Perot action here.
Yeah.
It's a fool's errand. That's what-
It's a fool's errand. That was it.
that was my opening line for the whole thing, I think. Started the.
We've got the principle of non-coercion. You know, a lot of Rod Hare influence in this
Oh
one.
yeah, man.
Kale
I
wants-
had a lot of fun with Rod.
Kale
Oh,
wants
okay.
to know what's in our cup.
I mean, it's absinthe, obviously.
Is Kale commenting from the other room?
No, not Kale, KL.
Oh, Kale. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Kale's right over in the other room.
One of those
Tails
secret
tapped
two
out a half
initial
hour ago.
It's
Oh,
actually,
shit.
it's actually really good apple cider. They have,
Oh, it's great.
well,
apple cider.
that's another thing
Yeah.
I just want to mention is that like Connecticut in the fall. I'm in New Orleans. It's still hot down there. We had our first day of actually relatively cool weather 2 days ago, and it's just beautiful. It's warm and it's cold at night. It's warm during the day, but you got the oranges and the reds and the yellows, and I kind of miss it because we don't really have 4 real seasons in New Orleans. Although I definitely enjoy the winter that's not under 32. So.
I want to know who out there has ever listened to the Call Me Daddy podcast.
Ooh.
Do either of you guys know about the Call Me Daddy podcast?
I just learned about it.
Yeah. I was only aware of it because I saw that they had some special guests on there
that's all-
recently.
that's-
That's all I know.
I know it's a couple women who host it. I just don't know anything about it really.
See, apparently the podcast world of men's podcast and women's podcast, totally different worlds. And that's the Joe Rogan of women's podcasting, and I knew nothing about it.
One of our topics of
He
our
saw John
Estuary
Mayer.
conversation was differences between men and women.
Oh yeah.
Christian saw John Mayer on Call Her Daddy about a year ago. Do you know who John Mayer is?
No. Y'all are making me feel old. You
I
know
don't-
people I don't know. You listen to things I've never heard of. I'm just heading right there for Grandpa Land. All right. Here's a big question. What is Estuary and where is it going? It's a perennial question here. Would Estuary be spoiled if it was bigger?
I personally thrive in this small group situation. I've been open about the fact that I was overwhelmed, I think, by the crowd size, which really, as far as conferences go, wasn't that big of a crowd. But 80 people for me was just overwhelming. But for this size, this retreat size, is very functional for me.
So you like this size better
This
than
works
the
well
Olympia?
for me, for my personality type. Now, people like Luke seem like he thrived. I mean, it's like,
Luke loves an audience.
John-
Luke
John-
loves an audience.
Sorry, just looking at the comments here. Christian clarified, John Mayer, not John Mayer. I read it as John Mayer, Christian, sorry.
I still don't
the
know who that
musician,
is.
John Mayer.
Your body is a wonderland. No, I can't do
Your
it.
body is a wonderland?
Yeah.
Is that
You
the
don't
title
know
of a
that
song?
Yeah.
That's
John Mayer. I'm sorry.
that does not
Kristen.
sound family friendly.
It's not family
I
friendly,
thought you'd
Kristen.
know who John Mayer is.
I don't know any artists who have appeared after the 1990s. I didn't even know
I
who.
think John Mayer dated Taylor Swift like
He did.
12 years ago,
Yeah,
like a
she
long
wrote
time ago.
songs about him.
Yeah, a
Or
long
at
time
least
ago.
one.
But up
Yeah.
until a very short time ago, until it came to Burn Powers, I barely knew who Taylor Swift was. See, I learned my cultural stuff through Burn Powers.
It's a good thing you're Dutch, you know. So.
Well, what does
Taylor
that have
Swift
to do
is
with
my
it?
favorite female pop artist. I've only listened to like 3 of her songs all the way through, but she's my favorite female pop artist.
She's the only
Ever?
female pop artist you've listened to.
No, Linda Ronstadt would be my favorite.
Oh, God. Oh,
That's it.
yeah.
Linda,
Oh.
now,
Surrounded by ex-boomers.
Oh, Linda Ronstadt.
junior high, man.
Oh.
my gosh.
Oh.
Introduced me to manhood.
I might have to mute the mic.
All right.
Mark D. Parker.
As the adult in the room, I'm gonna
Hey,
mention something about Estuary.
Google it. Google it. Look up
It's a
Linda
good
Ronstadt.
Mark. It's a good thing you're so quiet that they can't hear you. So it's okay.
What? You repress millennials. Like, you're not in touch with your sexuality. This is the problem. This is why we have declining birth rates and everything else. My people had no problem making babies. This thing
We
was
had
a
Linda
whole other
Ronstadt.
problem.
Keep it in your pants, Parker.
Terrible.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right. I can say right now, but I'm like,
No, so I want to take a crack at that. So I think in these sorts of events, appropriate. They're totally sober right now. Okay. So there are I have this effect on people. There are two kinds of in-person events. Mark had to excuse himself from the.
All right, I'm sorry. Keep going, Neil. Keep going.
No, we're good.
Keep going, Neil.
All right. So we talked about. So what's the difference between an event like this, where it's 14 people, 15 people, and an event like Chicago that's coming up that's going to be hundreds? And I think the dichotomy is we have to. So anything that grows exponentially, it grows really fast, has a very hard time keeping together, keeping its structure. Inevitably, you lose sort of that startup feel. And so you have. With any growth in size of whatsoever, you have to have an equivalent growth and strength in the relationships within the body, whatever the body is. So it's like events like these with the 15 people. I feel like it's an event that helps grow those relationships because you can actually talk to each individual person. So I'm a big fan of that. But then to bring new people into the space, I think the large events are also necessary. So I think that nice balance between them has a good tug and pull, and also increasing the strength as we go along. But that's just my gut instinct. So I have zero data to back that up.
I've only been to in-person Estuary branded events. I've only been to 2. This is the second one. The first one was the DFW Estuary that I went to one time. Sadly, I've lived there ever since, Estuary. Well, I guess Estuary there got started in full force about within the last year, probably. So I don't feel too bad. But I'm looking forward to now seeing what a larger event is like, because Mark, serial killer Mark, you've been able to attend a larger event and now a smaller event, and of the two, you preferred this one. And so I did really enjoy this one. One of the things that I would like to see at an event, whether it's on a smaller scale like this or a larger scale, is maybe some other group activities. And I know we've had the paintball activities before, and there's another one that Ray Kelly.
Donnie, who's here, suggested, especially in this kind of environment, that we went on a hike.
Yes,
or something like that.
that's what we were talking about
a little
too.
bit more
that
physical.
would be good.
Yeah.
It would be nice, and we talk and we walk. Now, I don't know.
Some other kinds of group activities. Way back in the day, Paul, you may remember, Job floated shirtless volleyball.
Job did float us a la Top Gun, the original Top Gun, not this Maverick stuff. That's right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the larger event would look like, and then what different adaptations of that could be like in the future.
The thing is this feels more like a real retreat.
It does.
Than it does like a conference.
Mm-hmm.
I see the variety of activities fitting with a conference, but for a retreat feel where you feel like you're actually doing spiritual work of a sort, even if we're not using those kind of classic,
Speak up.
Even though we're not using those kinds of classic kind of church retreat lingo, it feels more like a church retreat without the Bible study, but still the Bible comes up and so on and so forth. And we're doing real work. I think there isn't work in the conference either. I don't mean to. I'm not trying to denigrate. I'm just trying to explain the vibe.
And we've got 10 church-going people here, and one Jewish temple-going, or I don't know how much he's observing right now, and then one non-church-goer. So this is this is a retreat. I mean, in some ways, I don't know. What's this event for? I mean, I probably should have asked that before I planned it. But
I still don't think we know.
I still don't think we know.
No, I mean, it's relationships. Like I like coming into this, I knew Jeff, but I didn't really know Jeff.
Yeah, we've never really.
Yeah, we never got a chance to sit down and talk and
Here's
yeah,
somebody that
and-
would have been fun to have here. Is Emily's like just learned about it. Seems like she says, "Where is this happening?" And somebody said, "Connecticut." And Emily says, "I want to go."
Emily, it's not too late. Get here by 8:30 tomorrow. Well, you could close out with us.
Well, I mean, you can talk a little bit about your plans for this sort of thing in the future. But, yeah.
Well, I want to do some plans. I want to do some events at Living Stones, and I really have to pull a team together to do it because, in doing this, I was thinking, yeah, I should have planned, we had Susanna do some music because, she was here. But yeah, a hike would have been a good idea. A walk would have been a good idea. Rafe Kelly, we didn't have Rafe Kelly here, but we did have freezing. So freezing stimulates the body. Because I warned people, I said, if you come to my sister's place, it's pretty, but it's rustic. So everybody's, had their turn at freezing.
Rustic is cold for no central heating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bathroom facilities are
Rustic.
So,
You have some nice leaves to do the job, though. So.
walk softly and carry, yes.
And we did get unofficial instructions that if we wanted to ward off some of the wildlife, we could go do number one out on the edges of the perimeter of the property.
You could pee in the wood to keep the koi wolves away.
I'm not a fan of deer ticks. So that's my thing.
Oh,
That's.
And they'll
that's a
just
good
attach
question.
themselves anywhere they get a chance.
And they're parasocial is what they are.
Yeah. Well, that was a good topic because the parasocial conversation was a good one.
Mm.
But I know I like doing these things because I just like meeting people. And, Neil, this is my first chance to meet Neil. This is my first chance actually you and I, you came to Sacramento.
I came to Sacramento.
You came to Sacramento.
when we were on vacation.
That's right.
In San
So
Fran.
it's not the first time.
Yeah.
But it is just way more fun to hang out in person.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool.
Well, I agree with you about the meeting new people too. So one aspect, that Neil just described, the people we've only seen on the screens before or in voice chats and stuff like that. But then also, Daniel just showed up.
Yeah.
And Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just been in the lurk. He hasn't interacted in any. He just got on Discord tonight, but yeah, he was the first person really, besides when I greeted you when I first walked up, that I talked to, and I was just like, so I like learning the stories of tell us how you got here, because it's still so strange and so weird for how people find this place. There are some obvious, clear, common paths where people always get here, but then sometimes you're just like. And the funny thing about him is, he's like, I have barely even, somehow the algorithm never sent me Paul's stuff. It was just primarily Vervaeke and Peugeot that I was watching. And then kind of at the last minute, I started getting some Paul stuff. And so that kind of led me down the path to this. And he's like,
what is the TLC?
Yeah. And one of the funny parts, that I think is common for many of us here, at least for me and some other people that I've talked to is, of course, the spouses of the people who are interested in this space. It's mostly they have no interest at all, and they're just kind of, so what is this again? And whenever you say you want to go somewhere, there's kind of that, who are you going to meet again? And am I ever going to see you again? Is another.
There's a serial killer named Marky Parker in our midst.
But
he might not come back alive.
But his situation was, kind of similar of just trying his best to explain, and I think a lot of us have very supporting spouses when it comes to this stuff. And so she was like, no, I think you need to go. I think that would be good. So it was nice to hear that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, we had a husband and wife here together. Well, that was really neat, seeing that interaction, both of them with the group. And it's fantastic.
Part of this for me is always weird because somewhere in the back of my mind, I often think, why does anybody watch my videos? And it's kind of a dumb question because I watch your videos and I like watching the videos of the corner. In fact, usually, if I turn on my computer and the videos of the corner come up, I usually watch them first before I watch the big channel. So, but it's just a weird thing that I still haven't quite got my mind around this whole thing. So it was interesting. I was looking at, somebody sent me, there's a Reformed preacher. He's got a YouTube channel. I think he's got about 60,000 subs right now. And he had this video about why he doesn't do conferences because he doesn't want his channel to grow too much. And then I looked at, he also puts his sermons on there, and his sermons have like super low numbers. And so it just gets, one of the things that we talk about a lot is trying to get our head around what's going on with screen watching, parasocial relationships. And, and Neil, I think, really cracked a lot of this when he said, I just want, he just wanted to make friends with Chad. And I think for so many of us, the real benefit of this are friendships. And they're kind of interesting kinds of friendships because they are mediated by the internet, but they're also not unreal friendships. And so I don't know. But to me, it's just like I had the experience this time. Mark had a certain idea about how to save all young men, which triggered somebody else. But it was
in a constructive way.
In a constructive way. But it was so cool because when Mark started going into this, it was like, wow, here's a whole nother side of Mark D. Parker besides him and his cat and serial killing. So
this is going to end up on my Wikipedia page.
Well, this is all going into Robot Lady's memory.
Oh no, Robot Lady.
So about the making friends thing. So right in our intros, so we did a round of intros, and there was a member who said, I tried being a therapist, but I didn't like people enough.
I realized I didn't like
something
people
like
enough.
that. And I was like, that's me. Like most people annoy, like really don't. I seem to have a pretty good tolerance, but somehow in this space, like I've found a remarkable amount of really likable misfits. And it's just I don't know how else to describe it. It's people I want to be around. So
well, I was excited to come. Like, it's interesting because I knew roughly half the people that were going to be here, and I don't mean like I knew them, like had a relationship with them, but I knew who was coming, right? Yeah. So I was excited about who I knew was coming, but I was just as excited about who are the other mystery guests that are going to be here, because it is such a small event, right? And it's capped at a certain number. And so there were some surprises of people who go way back. Like one person here in particular is just like a lurker and nobody knows who this person is, but this person has been here from really early on.
Yeah.
And so as I started talking to this person, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And you forget, like you say, a high percentage of the corner is invisible.
Yeah.
Right? Because they don't participate, but these live events give people the opportunity to come. Somehow it's safer to participate in person than maybe they feel online, which I'm not sure I fully understand that.
Well, for me, I already had a gaming YouTube channel, like it really, and so like I had done that for a while, and so like YouTube was less of just a fear to me. Like it wasn't as big of a deal.
Yeah.
And especially because I knew the people in here. Like I knew that in general the kinds of people compared to, let's say, your typical internet. And so like there is that the in-person thing is, well, it's normal. Like that's actually what's normal.
Right.
And so like it's normal and good that people want to do that before they get on this random.
And they go out into I guess the internet is just everywhere all at once. Everybody from all corners of the earth can see you. Hope I'm not scaring anybody.
Can I throw something out? There's a William Branch.
Speak up.
William Branch.
Who's William Branch?
William Branch.
Just kidding.
The number one commenter on the channel.
The William Branch.
The William Branch. Intentional community has to be part of the answer. Church at best meets that need, often not. Now here's a question: can you imagine an intent? See, I can't talk loudly and coherently at the same time.
Once Linda Ronstadt came in, that was it.
Well, now I'm really distracted.
That's the name.
Intentional. Can you imagine an intentional community coming out of the corner?
What did you just say? He distracted me.
Oh, sorry.
Can you imagine, with Linda Ronstadt, can you imagine an intentional community arising out of Estuary or out of the corner, and what would it look like?
Oh, you mean
As
something...
part of the answer, that's William saying intentional community has to be part of the answer. I'm
So
wondering what.
I disagree with William. So Karen Wong it was a great conversation. He was like a venture capitalist, successful land developer on her channel, but that's what
some of that.
Yeah, that's what he's building. And it was like, to me, it seemed like he was prioritizing the separate community first over like he expected Christians to come, but it seemed to me like, so I had this question too, like what does it mean to go out and proclaim the gospel? Like if someone is saved from their alcoholism by becoming Jewish, like it's those kinds of questions that like I contemplate, like, okay,
They're not a teetotaling religion.
yeah. So no, but I realize that that's probably a nonsensical example. However,
Well, neither is Christianity.
yeah. So, like, what does it mean? Like, it gets back to this question, like, what we're doing with Estuary. Like, how are we actually
Oh my
helping people?
gosh.
Are we helping people? Teetotaler. The CRC, known for their...
You gotta draw 3 X's
Yeah,
on this.
We had to suffer Dutch wine this weekend.
This is kind of
trolling me.
deliberate. This is like deliverance.
Keep
country.
going, Neil. Don't let me distract you. Linda Ronstadt. Walk softly, carry a big...
Yeah, no. So this question of like, is our advantage diminished by being in person, by living in person?
Oh, no.
Oh.
The only pants I brought.
Mark, you seem to be the pants guy today, so do you have any extra pants? Actually, Jeff is roughly the height
I do have
of...
another pair of pants.
Okay.
Let's not be drastic.
I gotta clean up, otherwise this is gonna yell at me. Keep talking.
Keep going. I'm not looking at the comments.
I'm looking at the comments.
So I think what's unique about what I'm saying is that throughout human history, like-minded people gathered in faith or gathered in common value have come together and formed communities. And I don't think the TLC will ever do that as well as, say, the Amish. We're just not like the strength of TLC is that we don't have to. This is very strange. Mark Parker is finally at my feet. The strength of TLC is that the foot washing section. The strength of TLC is that we don't have to actually physically live with one another. So if we're too smelly or we drink in public, like this gentleman, or things like that, we actually don't have to deal with each other past the physicality of these two wonderful days.
That's where the reality of
Yeah.
the relationship are a little less real than the relationship
but are
that I
they?
have with my. Well, I'm
But,
just saying
yeah.
that dynamic, right?
Yep.
Because I don't know. I'm like thinking in terms of like.
So when C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and the Inklings came together and discussed their ideas, and Tolkien said to C.S. Lewis, "You'll never be as good of a writer as me. I'm Catholic. You're Protestant. I'm just better than you." I'm channeling Alan there. But they weren't living together, but they were sort of in the same area. Like
Right.
they were living in the general, Oxford atmosphere at the time.
Yeah.
But did they not have relationships because they're not?
I'm just saying face to face was their primary way of communicating with one another, right? And so you do have to put up with more. You have to deal with more. I'm gonna try not to get you demonetized, Paul. Bullshit.
Yeah.
From people.
You can say that word.
You know.
You say that word on
When
YouTube.
you okay. Yeah. Bullshit. When you're in person, you do have to deal with a lot of that. I know my wife has to put up with a lot of my bullshit, right? And a lot of people here this weekend didn't have to put up with any of that bullshit. But the longer if this is was a month-long thing, y'all would start putting up with a little bit, or start not necessarily putting up with it, but being exposed to more of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when you're in a relationship where you're ever present with someone, I think that's the part
Oh,
that's
the
missing.
really annoying stuff is like how people load the dishwasher and
Yeah. Yeah, don't put away their clothes or, whatever.
Well, part of my vision for Estuary has always been church adjacent. And so an event like this, Estuary is useful for the conversation, and this event is really nice because I was just really excited to see the people here. I knew most of the people coming, and I was really excited to just spend time with them because some of them I haven't spent much time with. And, I've gotten a chance to know a number of you, and I'm a person who does like people, so I really like this. But I think at its heart, Estuary, I see as something that is church adjacent to help the church be a better community, to help the church know each other better and love one another better. So I think ideally, as in the case of Living Stones, when you have an estuary that is part of the normal life of the church on a very regular basis, I think that strengthens the church and strengthens the community. What exactly do we mean by intentional community? So Elizabeth Oldfield she's living in one where there's another couple and they're sharing a house. That's fine, but I don't think that's necessarily you're sharing a house. I mean, where is the front door? So you share a front door. I'm sure they have, and maybe they share a kitchen. So I don't know. For me, Estuary is a way to deepen relationships, deepen community, get to know each other better. And again, it's, I've really gotten a chance to, get to know Neil and, really sort of see him in action in a way in person that is different from when he's online.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm more of a jerk in person, I think. I'm like a little bit more assertive and
I don't see
came in
you
with
as a jerk.
You came in with a lot to say.
Yeah, it's your first time.
It's been building. It seems like.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I feel like I've seen it. Yeah, that's okay.
And you drove Rod a little crazy at times, but he'll be all right.
Well,
I think
Rod
it was
gave as
mutual.
good as he took.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So are we going to talk about the thing? The throwdown between Mark and Michael?
Oh, Mark and Michael have gotten along beautifully.
It's been just fine.
Mark and Michael were both in our little subgroup too, and
Did great.
yeah. So no, Michael is a little more quiet and reserved than I expected.
Yeah.
Because he's quite active in live streams and he's quite active in his channel and quite a good listener. So, and I don't know, I think if Chad were here and looked into Michael's eyes, he might say Michael has beautiful eyes too. Michael is really sort of the Gimli of the corner. He's got the beard, he's kind of got the shape. So no, it's so cool that Michael is here.
Very
So I really love that.
No, I thought it went well. It's no insults were even traded. I don't think there's no subtle anything, no subterfuge was there any tension at all?
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Mild.
part of the problem with being online and having these little online dust-ups is my read on Michael is there is no malice in Michael. He gets an idea, he gets excited, he can voice his opinion, but there's no malice in him. So, and Mark D. Parker is a serial killer, so, but I don't think there's any malice in Mark D. Parker's serial killing
He's
either.
the nicest one you'll ever meet.
I think so.
Cereal.
Nothing personal, I just have to take your life.
Your best defense is simply play classic Linda Ronstadt, and I'm immediately pacified. I can still,
Oh, and if you
Morality.
hold up a picture in front of him, it's over.
favorite songs of her?
Playing in spirit.
Come on.
Yes,
When's the
when
last
we
time I
got it.
talked to Linda Ronstadt? Probably
The problem
never.
is, I was just talking to Susanna how difficult it is for me to remember.
Different drum. You and I travel to the beat of a different drum.
Well, now you just ruined it for me.
Oh.
No. Sorry, Paul. It's just not the same when you sing it. Gotta look it up. Keep talking, guys. We have Did here over there. We're professionals.
It's getting late.
Yeah.
The time is at 11:10.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right. We could go. The last time I did one of these this late, well, it wasn't live streamed, but back at the not fishing trip, we did it for like 6 straight hours. So.
Wow. I don't think we got that in us.
Yeah.
We've been talking all day.
That's true.
And one person dropped in our little estuary subgroup. How did she say it? She said something. It's time to talk about the difference between men and women.
Oh.
It's like, oh boy. And
Oh, and we got a great line once we got into the broader group that Sherry gave. You remember? She said something like,
oh yeah.
oh, I can't remember it now, but it was fantastic. I wish I'd have written it down. It's
I
like
probably did write it down.
Men use barbs and ribbing and to they do that to each other, but they don't really mean it. And women use compliments and niceties, but they don't really mean it, or something like that. It was much more eloquent than that.
It's true.
I'm looking at the list of Linda Ronstadt's titles.
Oh no.
And the problem is all the titles are far more suggestive than I remember the songs actually being.
Maybe you were a sinner at that point in your life.
Some.
If I play it, what will
Algo's
Algo do?
gonna immediately give
yeah.
yeah, you're gonna get.
I know somebody else in the
I've
corner
done
that
this
just got
before.
like their channel kibosh.
All right, we won't play any Linda Ronstadt. I'm kind of bummed. I think when I go to sleep tonight, I'll play a little
you
Linda
should.
Ronstadt, and I think hers was one of the first albums I remember buying. Her greatest hits album.
Yeah.
Love that album.
Their greatest what?
Her greatest hits, my friend. She was on the cover, I believe,
That'll
with
be
some
the day.
very high, stripy 1970s socks and some roller skates. It was very appropriate. None of this, Madonna or Britney Spears or any of those harlots.
Very tasteful.
It was very tasteful. It was very wholesome.
With wooden shoes.
Oh, roller skates. She was not Dutch. Sorry, not Dutch.
Oh, here's the album cover.
There it is. There
You
it
can
is.
show that.
I know, but I gotta get rid of that. Okay, there we go.
There's those stripy socks. I
Moving
remember
up
those
close.
stripy socks.
There, you wanna look?
Look at that. Look at that.
She wearing roller skates?
No, that wasn't
No,
roller
that was
skates. That was a
those are
different
socks.
album.
Oh,
that was
okay.
just a sock.
Okay.
We
So-
got more.
So my first college roommate, I liked Linda Ronstadt. He liked Pat Benatar. And I like Pat
Classic,
Benatar
yeah.
too.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a little sexy.
Yeah,
We can't show that one on your channel.
she's bringing it.
Whoa, he's going to show it.
Mark Parker.
This is
Serial killer.
This is after hours.
Oh, here's Matthew Parletto. I was so much fun.
And I did see Noah Foxman a lot earlier, and just want to say hi, Noah.
Yeah, she is a total babe.
And with a voice. And an
Yeah, but
unbelievable
she
talent.
lost her voice. She
She
had this.
did.
That's so sad.
Yep, but.
Boy, this is the old man story hour. Here we are, Linda Ronstadt. Oh, baby.
You got to focus. You were
What a
saying,
set of pipes.
you were saying hi to Matthew.
Oh, Matthew Parletto. It was so much fun to meet, because Matthew was one of the guys at Olympia that was like, wow, he's totally different that he just looked totally different in person than he looked on live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And so that
Everybody
was totally cool.
does. A little bit.
And the dude has energy.
Yeah.
Boy, that dude has
Oh,
energy.
you can tell that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was so much fun. He was so much fun.
Makes me seem mellow.
Yeah, Neil has a lot of energy.
Sophie
Neil's got a lot of energy.
Sophie says Linda was so talented.
She was. I don't know anything about Sophie LP. She's, that's the thing. I see these names, got to meet Joy. That was great. I don't know anything about KL. William, the William Branch, of course. I really appreciate that he did the randos
And
with.
he's gonna do more, I
Marky
think,
Parker.
on my channel. So
Oh,
we're
good.
gonna do some more. He's got some very cool ideas
All right.
in the mix.
So here's the question for the audience. Would the corner be better if we had more channels get bigger, or is it better to just keep them
Under the radar.
under the radar, low and approachable? Maybe we're not a flotilla of surface vessels. Maybe we're a flotilla of submarines.
You can,
No.
they can only respond in the
there
comments. It
was
takes them a second.
there was something that Rod said that stuck with me, which was we need to find the others. We need to find the others. So what is it? What is the strategy where the
there's
people?
Alan.
Yeah. What is the strategy where the people who really need to find us can find us, and the people who really shouldn't find us continue to ignore us? That seems to me the right strategy.
Alan says we should be going viral.
Of course, but viruses often need
No,
immunizations.
slow growth is definitely the way, and I like slow growth. I like slow growth.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the friendships, it's the people. That's what makes this fun and special. So I don't know. And Linda Ronstadt, she makes it fun and special.
And serial killers.
And serial killers. We have our own. We don't have to outsource our serial killers. We have one of our own. I should explain why that started, because we were talking very early on, and Mark was like, Paul Vanderklay says Mark D. Parker like he's a serial killer. And I thought, what? I just say it. But
And then right after that, you thought, oh, that's a perfect name. For
Mark D. Parker. John Wayne Gacy, Mark D. Parker.
It just rolls off the tongue.
The three name people.
So.
Upcycle.
Hey, Upcycle.
We love you, Up.
Upcycle, yeah. We definitely gotta. We're looking to meet Upcycle in person.
Yeah.
Oh, Tayo, yay! Oh, wonderful.
We talked about Tayo earlier tonight.
We did.
Yeah, it's got to be like 4 a.m. in the UK right
I
now.
know.
What are you doing, Tyler?
He's got his.
It's Friday
alert
night.
That it woke him
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Zach Dredge says, I don't know if you can filter people too neatly. It also seems TLC also finds people from some adjacency and very successful people on the platform.
Yeah.
What does MTCDS from Slack mean?
Mark the series.
The series.
No.
No, that's not quite it.
No.
TLC says Scooty says William Branch. Oh, that's funny. I see the assassins have failed. Yes, indeed they do. They could. We have our own assassin. What's the difference between a serial killer and an assassin? An assassin is looking for contracts on high status people. Serial killer. Oh yeah. That would, boy.
Well, you only have to do it once to be an assassin. You wouldn't have to ever do it again. But a serial killer does it multiple times.
No, an assassin is like a vocation. So they're
Well,
killing regularly.
that's a hitman.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you could have if there was an
Okay.
assassin that succeeded one time and then got apprehended,
That's right.
they would still be an assassin.
So Lee Harvey Oswald is an assassin,
Yes,
Keep your friends
yes,
close.
he is.
and he only
But your
killed
enemies
one
are close.
person.
And so is what's his name? Jack Ruby.
Sirhan. Jack Ruby, is he an assassin or an opportunist? I guess it depends on what the real deal is
I
with
know.
the JFK
I mean, does it
assassination.
count as an assassination if it wasn't like a I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald was immediately famous.
I'm going to leave that up to Grimbridge.
Christian has entered the chat with some.
Seabacks?
Yep, see back.
Oh, he's been on
Yeah,
for a while.
He's been on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Nico's here.
Serial killers work for Count Chocula. Very, very nice, William Branch. There's a dad joke. Afriel, the idea of these communities is forming in anticipation of the meta-crisis civilization collapse. That's what Justin Hall and the new foundings, etc., are. Well, yeah, we're.
Good night, Sandy.
Good night,
We'll have
Sandy.
Good night, Sandy.
The parable of the sneaky guy.
I think.
There was more to that.
Yeah.
Should we drop a link? Can we field questions? I mean, can we bring in
I think we can, with
just
the
for
speaker.
like 10 minutes before we pass out?
Some
All right,
late night
Let's see
linkage.
how it works. Yeah, let's talk to some people.
Might need to put on echo cancellation or something.
It's already on.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
See if
You know the rules, even after 10.
yeah, that's right.
If I don't see your face, you ain't coming in.
What's the Grim Grizz?
Is
Yeah,
it cold
you-
over there? Yeah.
It's about 10 degrees centigrade, Nico.
40 degrees and clear.
Put your,
says the computer.
Turn your
Oh,
hand.
okay, so it's
Oh,
about
somebody's
3
here.
degrees centigrade.
Ah,
We got
late night Seaback.
Cristiano
There
Baxterdo.
he
Is
is.
he PJs? Are you in your pajamas, Seabacks?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe
You're barely here. Yeah, we got to turn on the
It might be us.
check
Hold on,
one,
Hang on, we can't hear
two.
you.
We gotta
Check
fix it.
1, 2.
Hopefully we
check,
don't get a feedback.
Check 1, 2 in the microphone. Hello, hello. You fixing the sound? Is the sound fixed yet?
Try again.
Check 1, 2. Check. Audio.
There we go.
There we go.
Audio check.
We got you.
Yep.
nice.
What do you say, Seabacks?
Paul, open up your DMs in Twitter. Do you have your phone? Or are you doing this on your phone?
No, I got my phone here.
I sent you a clip. From
Is
a
it Linda
conversation.
Ronstadt?
Well, that's the second clip I sent you, but
Mark D. Parker's really wanting to see a Linda Ronstadt video.
No worries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you told me about him, and I've got his email, and I haven't done anything with it yet. I feel bad.
he became a Christian watching you on the internet. Like that was his word to me, was like, I was watching Paul Vanderklay and I became a Christian.
Well, that's a good thing.
How did
Well,
you
you
find
were saying earlier, like sometimes I wonder why people watch my videos. Well,
I'm Christian, I guess. No, it's humbling. I feel
the thing
humbled by it.
the thing about that is that the Bob who I talked to from China and this guy Costas from Greece, they've both tried to start estuaries and both their first estuaries failed. And I think there wasn't enough firmament. There wasn't enough contextual understanding even with, I guess, the formula. That people weren't there's something wasn't unlocked yet for it to work. Even though they went out and they like picked people. And so what Costas said he decided to do was get on the internet to try to find the others in Greece so he went to Peterson in Athens a couple of years ago but he didn't meet anybody. But that's kind of what he's doing now, is trying to get out there and get online to try to, but I'm like, what's the culture like in Greece? He's like, kids are watching Taylor Swift and my kids know who Joe Rogan is. Like,
wow.
And that's what Neil talked about. And when you went to
South
Asia
Korea and
this
Japan.
summer, was that the monoculture is like everywhere. Like this stuff's like happening everywhere. And, that I can have a 2-hour conversation with a guy from China about all these things, and I can have a 2-hour conversation with a guy from Greece about all these things. And so and then I don't know.
Well, one thing that I recommended to PVK, and I'll recommend it to everybody, is read the book. The book is called Writing the Big Book. And Chad recommended it to me, and I read it. But in the early history of AA, lots and lots of chapters of AA failed. Lots and lots of individual groups fell apart.
Thank you.
Lots and lots of fail. So you had all this experimentation going on in early AA, where different groups would do their own thing, and and also a lot of things where it would have these whooshes, and they had to deal with that and figure out what it meant to have a whoosh when you don't have a person in a city. Yeah, and so it's
like an emergence or an emanation of some kind. Is that what you're saying?
well, like somebody writes an article about AA, and then suddenly they have 1,000 people writing them saying, "Hey, we need a chapter here," or something like that, or we need and they would one thing that they did in AA is that it didn't matter how many people wrote them, they answered by hand, every single person by hand, like a hand letter, and like that, as I see it, that handheld response is the equivalent of us getting in voice chat here.
Or
And-
randos.
Yeah, exactly. It's like actually having a face-to-face encounter given over a screen, but it's a start.
Well, I mean, it might be even an improvement from a letter in a certain way, but like, because you're hearing somebody's voice.
Well, with a handwritten letter, you know that someone spent time
That's
and
true.
energy and to actually answer your specific inquiry in your specific way. So it's like that self-sacrifice in attention, really. So
Mhm.
that is our attention economy on a screen, right?
Mhm. Well, I mean, what is Estuary and without 500 randos conversations on the internet though, with I think that I think that can't be that's hard to detach from what's going on. I
Yeah.
think so, anyways.
Hey, Christian, how did this guy from Greece find you, or did you find him?
On Twitter, he reached out to Paul, and then he reached out to me, and he's trying to write a book, but he had a Jordan Peterson algorithm experience, and then he actually met Tom Holland in Greece when Tom Holland was on vacation, and they had a conversation. But he's listening to all the same stuff. It's just interesting. He speaks very good English, and it just feels like it's very strange to talk to people from other countries and to have so much common foundation, and they're taking in, Paul Vanderklay on, 2 or 3 times a week, and these other guys. But it does seem like they've both had some trouble trying to figure out how to get the Estuary piece to work. Cause this guy said he's on Elsnet.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll help. But that's really a helpful thing to point out, because I mean, part of the question is, okay, what are we doing? What's going on? And it definitely has to do with friendship. It definitely has to do with building these connections and relationships. And if he became a Christian, then he may or may not have been able to find a church. And if he's new in a church, the odds of being able to talk whatever kind of pastor that is into an Estuary group, that's like zero. So it's probably going to have to be building relationships on the internet, and maybe getting in touch, especially with, well, has he been on Bridges of Meaning yet?
I don't know. We didn't talk about Discord, but
Connect him up with Tayo.
yeah, he's a very motivated person. His story went something like, I mean, I guess I could ruin my whole conversation with him, but who's gonna? I don't know.
There's also, according to John in Greece, who I've had a couple of conversations with.
Okay, that might be
follows
really
the corner.
That might be helpful for him. According to John.
According to John, that's his channel on YouTube.
That's cool. Yeah, and I think that's like the point. Like, hey, okay, there's another, I in Greece, and it's like, oh well, now there's 2 people. I don't know, and that's how quick that can happen. But that's really cool. But he had this. He's a motivated gentleman.
He is. He's been reaching out to me, and he's got an idea for. I won't give the name of his idea. I talked about it actually in Estuary today, and I think it's complex. So that's what he sent me a pretty long email.
Yeah.
So, but I think the key is, again, building a community and knitting things together.
Yeah.
Because all by yourself, you're just sort of at the mercy of anything else.
That's true. That's true. Well, it sounds like y'all are having fun out there, and I feel like I became a buzzkill on this. All the laughter and the
What do you
Eddie-
think of Linda
Eddie joke.
Ronstadt?
What do you know about Linda Ronstadt?
I had no idea she was. I know who Jessica Simpson was when I was 18.
Yeah, Christian and I are the same age. I didn't know who Linda Ronstadt is. I'm not even pronouncing her name right.
Well, I
Never
didn't
heard of
know
her.
who Taylor Swift was for a long time. So there, we're even.
Well, no, I'm somewhere in between. Neil, I was like, you did say Britney Spears, like, that was probably more in my
Yeah,
salience landscape of junior high, but
yeah. It was for our generation, Christian. It was Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, then the NSYNC, Destiny's Child, before Beyonce being solo.
yeah, it's all those things.
Yeah.
The
Pop
Charismatic
culture.
Voice just did an analysis of Linda Ronstadt's a Linda Ronstadt live performance. Go check it out. You'll find out she's a whole nother caliber of talent over these other
All the
very
pop.
talented,
Yeah.
lovely people. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking.
As a
unbelievable.
Gen X, I can confirm.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
I'm the youngin' here.
you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude. Whenever the John Mayer thing went up, like no one knew who of course he said John Mayer or something. I was like, no one knows who John Mayer is. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are- we
I'm
are-
sorry about
I
that.
know.
I flubbed that, Christian. I read it wrong. I thought it said Meyer.
That's what I don't know how to spell his name. That maybe how to spell it. Maybe it's M-A. I don't know how to spell his
Well,
name.
it's really interesting, like what artists will be remembered past their exact generation, and then what artists will be remembered past like 2 or 3 generations. So it's like
Transcendence. Yeah.
it's a Pareto distribution of fewer and
somebody
fewer
else
artists
has jumped in.
that.
Sherry's in the crowd too.
Yeah, Sherry's in the chat.
What did
Albert.
Hello.
Hey.
Albert's trapped in one of Grim Grizz's cells?
Well, at least he
Bunker.
has internet.
Bunker.
I picked that.
All the cells have internet.
Albert, have we spoken before?
I haven't spoken to you on live chat. We've interacted on Twitter. And,
Okay.
oh no, I'm getting feedback. Oh no.
Oh, being tortured and
We're clear.
I don't know if I can make this work. I wanted to jump in so bad because I saw you guys. I wanted to come up. I heard all the announcements about the meeting, and I thought, man, it'd be cool to be there. And I knew I'd kick myself if I didn't try.
Turn off your YouTube and just use StreamYard.
Oh, is it YouTube? Now,
There you
I
go.
thought it was my speakers feeding back into the microphone.
That
Nope.
does happen. It's
Okay. You
So
can
don't
tell I haven't
worry,
done
Albert.
this before. With you guys, anyway. Sorry about that.
You got to start somewhere.
Let's have a speed randos.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to. I don't know. I've watched like all of Paul's videos while I listen to him at work, and I talked to Karen once or twice, and I've been in contact with Paul a couple times on Twitter, and I knew I'd kick myself if I didn't at least try to get in here, and I don't know, to be part of the whole vibe here. I love all you guys. I love the conversations that come out of the corner, and I think a lot about it, and then there's nobody to talk to about it. There's no
Yeah.
estuary where I'm at, so I go to church, you know.
Are
say-
you in
sorry?
Bridges of Meaning, Albert? BOM, Bridges of Meaning, the Discord server?
I'm on there,
Yeah.
mostly for the memes, though.
Yeah. I didn't get much out of BOM until I started popping into the voice chats where I saw people actually talking in the voice chats. So that's been my experience.
I've thought about doing that. It's a big I don't know, I get nervous. I want to do I mean, you see that I set up my background here. I was I didn't jump in right away because I was like, oh no, my camera. I don't have a great camera, but I wanted to turn not the contrast, but the brightness down, because it was just like it always blows out every time I turn it on, and so it took me like 10 minutes just to get set up to do this. I just, when I'm gonna hop in on Bridges of Meaning, I see people and I'm like, do I have time for this? You know, and I've got my kids, I've got my wife. You know, a lot of times I don't have a chunk of time set aside where I can jump in. But you guys are up night owls today, and it's like 10:35 where I'm at. It's an hour ahead for you guys, right?
Yeah.
My wife's already in bed. She's probably laying awake mad at me because I'm still out here in my shed messing around on the computer. But this was my one chance, so I had to take it. Had to take my shot.
That's awesome. We were just talking about haven't seen new faces lately pop up on the Hollywood squares, and we're glad to see you.
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
You guys are all a blessing to me. I especially Paul, and just sort of like everything that filters in through him. I find all that so fascinating. And every once in a while I'll see something. This is why I've talked to you on Twitter before, Paul. I'll be listening to like an audiobook or another video, and like the corner part of my brain lights up. And it's like, this is one of those things, right? I want to hear Paul talk. I can already hear Paul talking about this in my head. I've started listening to a book about the origins of like psychedelics and LSD and like in World War II, like the sort of pre-hippies, right? The guys who essentially planted the trees that became the hippies. Tripping on Utopia, I believe it's called. I recommended it to you on Twitter, Paul. And everything about that was just, it was like, it reminded me of That Hideous Strength. All these little people like playing around with like stuff that they really shouldn't be, but they've got their grand intentions and their huge ideas. And I'm like, that actually happened. Here it is. They actually planted this and it grew into all this stuff that we have now. And we like, here I am reading about this, and I've never heard of these like psychonaut people who essentially invented the 60s and blew up the whole nation with their, you know, I mean, and that's easy to overstate that, right? There's a ton of stuff in history that you can say, well, this caused this, you know, it's explosive as, combinatorially explosive, as Vervaeke likes to say. But you know, you encounter things like that in the world, and it's just like, it's real. It actually all fits. All the little pieces like click together, and I don't know. Y'all have all opened that for me, and Jordan Peterson to start with, because I was my whole life like I've been in church my entire life, but I was I guess you could describe it as like a materialist Christian. I don't know, like I was just there, you know, and I was kind of halfway checked out, but I knew I needed to stick in it. It's not like I didn't believe it, but it just didn't impact me until I heard people like Jordan Peterson starting to say, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's actual value here. And I remember the moment in Awakening for the Meaning Crisis, it's like almost halfway through, when John Vervaeke says, we lost our ability to believe in this stuff, and now we're stuck. And a light bulb went on. I was like, I didn't lose that yet. I still got that. I don't have to be in the meaning crisis. And I don't know. It changed how I thought about it.
You're really likable, Albert. So I hope you're around.
Oh, well, thank you,
Albert. Yeah. I'd like to extend to you your diploma from J-Cubed University. You've graduated from.
Thank you so much.
You graduated from the Jonathan, and you're in the halls of Vanderclay now.
Now I have a Sunday school class at my church, and I'm infecting 12-year-olds and my kids. I'm talking to him about demons and stuff. I'm like, now you guys watch out for demons now. They're out there. They're trying to get you.
I did one substitute teaching, and I was just going on about Cain and Abel and the nature of evil to 12-year-olds.
It's nice to be able to go back over and over because you can build something. It's hard to do anything in one sitting, in one lesson. But if you have the kids, and it's a tiny Sunday school class. It's 4 kids. But I get kids asking questions, and sometimes they're easy questions where it's like, you guys really should be reading this. Like, you're the pastor's kids. I'm just a Sunday school teacher. You should have a baseline about this. But it's thrilling to be able to talk to them and like give them pieces of information. And sometimes I don't even know, right? When they ask about the question, where did Cain get his wife, came up last week. And I was like, well, there was obviously some other person around from somewhere. There's a lot of debate about that. Maybe it was a relative of his. Maybe God created a new person. Maybe it was something else. People have cool debates about that. We don't have to get sidetracked. It's not an important part of the story. And they bought that. So, and I answer that way because I'm in a weird spot where I don't have all the answers, Yeah. And I've gotten to where Paul has helped me get to this point where I'm more okay with not being sure about stuff.
There you go.
But still having faith and still being grounded in the faith. Right? And
like
still being sure that it is the true story.
Is it like a left brain had to diminish so that the right brain could increase?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with McGoker.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. To self-analyze, to see exactly when, and I still do have I still want to know concretely, okay, what exactly is the correspondence between what Genesis is describing and what the physical world is? Because it's not obvious how much leeway you can give, because obviously there's people on the one side who are trying, spent however many centuries trying to prove this is real, and then you got a bunch of scientists trying to come in and say no, we're going to go the other way, all that's a bunch of bunk. And all of the data that you have comes from those sources, and you can't tell okay, this person says this happened this many years ago. How did they get to that calculation? Where did they get those years from? How did they count them? What, we're talking about pottery layers and different levels of earth and carbon dating and 1,000 other things that I can't personally verify. And I'm not here to say that they just completely made it up, but there's so many layers of presuppositions and what are we, just assumptions in general about, I came into the world with this assumption. Somebody else comes at it with another assumption. We build a whole tree of stuff that grows out of this one root that we might not even realize is there. And then other people are just picking the fruit off that tree going, yep, this is good stuff. And it's what if there's poison in the roots? I don't know. I've just got to keep going back to having some faith and yeah. Sorry, you can tell.
Have you read Matthew Pajot's book yet?
I have. Yes, I have it on the bookshelf.
There you go. Yeah.
That is an interesting bridge for that, because he is so right-brained in his approach, and yet he bridges over. I don't know if I did that in the right direction or not for the camera, but into the left brain.
Yeah.
Somehow the super logical, and I tend to land on that part of the spectrum myself, that my brain just likes to analyze things and pick things apart and find the little the pieces, right? Break it apart into the pieces. And yet he comes from that angle, and it comes over into, here's a whole worldview. and you have to be looking at these patterns in the correct way. And Matthew Pageau's an amazing blessing to me, because I've actually gotten a lot more out of the scripture now, when I'm looking at things, I'm like, oh, it's the same stories just stacked on top of each other. When you see his little thing about like going into exile and then like, standing up and laying down and standing up and laying down and, being in the land and going into exile, it's like, oh, that's all of them. And then you can extrapolate things like, hey, you see where this guy sees that thing is good to look at, but it ends up being bad for him. See how that's all the way back with Adam and Eve, where she sees the fruit and it's good to look at, but then it ends up being bad. But there's some extra details in this story. Can we extrapolate backwards and forwards? And it's so cool to see it that way, instead of just sort of here's a stack of pages.
How did Cain get a wife? Like trying to answer that when that's not the point of the story,
Right.
Like, but if you can't answer that, then the whole thing falls apart, though, So I'm being facetious, but
I was gonna say, I don't feel like it falls apart. I guess
I'm just saying that's the feeling. Like, well, if I can't come up with a logical answer about, who Cain's wife was, then this whole thing, isn't worth. That's just an example of. But what you're saying is that the story is what matters more than the details in a certain way. Like the story. How do 4,000-year-old stories change people's lives?
Yeah, and I've found value in getting into other stories from the time period as well. I read the Aeneid last year, got it for Christmas, and I was reading through, just kind of flipping. It's a great story. Everybody should read the Aeneid. It's cool. It's like the Odyssey and the Iliad stacked together, but then like polished up and really, I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot. But I got to a certain point where all of a sudden Aeneas is like fleeing from Troy, and a flame of fire alights on his son's head. And it just had this like moment. It was like, that's what happened in Acts. Aeneas' son is going to found a new nation, and like all of a sudden the flame comes down on his head, and now in the book of Acts they're going to found a whole new thing, and the flames of fire come down on their head. That's what happens when you're a founder of a new nation in the stories.
That's really interesting. There's a train of thought that by some scholars that say the Acts of the Apostles was written as a romance,
Right.
In the antiquity, in the style of the period, and so it follows. It's actually a genre piece of literature for that period, which would follow what you're saying.
So I had that same thing in, I think it was the Iliad, and I forget whether it was they put earth on their head or it was the tearing of the clothes. It was one of those two things. It's in the Iliad. It's like an act of repentance or an act of contrition, and I was like, oh wow, like it's cross cultural. It was like the earth on the head is like, I'm nothing but dust, and to dust I'll return. And then the tearing of the clothes is like, whatever role I was playing for God, that's wrong. Now I'm naked again before God, and God has to give me new clothes.
That was their version of the monoculture at the time.
Yeah, or the deconstruction of yourself. We talked about ego death, actually. Yeah.
I get really scared to bring that stuff up into because I have opportunities to speak in my church from time to time, but I try to stay away from like, I read this, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, this is what happens, because I don't want to spook people into thinking, now we believe the Bible, but this other stuff isn't true.
Yeah.
Because like, for me, that isn't an important, I'm not saying there's not an important barrier between the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Bible, but the continuity between those stories is tangible enough that I don't worry about the Epic of Gilgamesh is not inspired by the Holy Spirit, so we can't draw anything from it.
Well, it doesn't diminish the significance of the Bible for you. It actually helps bolster it. There's something that C.S. Lewis points to where he talks about when he was truly coming to faith, you know, whenever he was having discussions with, I forget the guy's name. I know Tolkien, but the other guy, Dyson, I believe.
I was
his
going to
name
say
is.
there's like 5 or 6 Inklings I don't know
Yeah.
about. So.
Yeah, but those two in particular, and they were telling him, look, all of these myths and all these things that were common that you're saying, well, I see those things in the Bible too, so it just tells me that these extracurricular, you know, outside stories just prove that it's all made up. And they basically brought him to the understanding of, no, this was the clear picture coming into focus, you know, through all of these other stories leading up to this one.
And to read something, to talk about like the Epic of Gilgamesh, to look at that story and to see that as sort of almost a primal cry for help. Like, it's not a story with God in it. So you have Gilgamesh and Enkidu, superpower guys, like going through, like taking care of business, you know, the gods come in and they do things and they like defeat the bull of heaven. And the end of the story is Gilgamesh going to everybody he can because Enkidu is dead. And he's screaming, crying, because for 10 days he hoped that Enkidu would come back to life and the worms start coming out of his nose. And Gilgamesh is like, what am I going to do about death? We're going to die. And he gets to the end of the story with no answer. And it does almost tie into scripture, because it's like, here's a guy who didn't have it, who didn't have the answer that the scripture was ultimately pointing toward, and he died without that life that he was searching for.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not a story about. I just started thinking about Gilgamesh.
That's good. No, it's good.
We should set up a interview on my channel if you are impatient and can't get on Paul's.
Okay. Yeah, I check the Calendly link every once in a while. I kind of gave up on that a little while ago because for one thing, Paul usually has time in the middle of the day, and up until recently, I have not had time in the middle of the day. I just started literally today, got my license to drive a bus. So
fun.
Cool.
I hope that it will be. I've enjoyed it so far, but I've been mostly training and being a monitor while I was in training. But today I drove my first route, and I was blessed to have a person who helped me figure the route out with me instead of just being chucked in there with the piece of paper that says turn left, turn right, turn left again. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It was nice to pass that test. I mean, I knew I could, but you still have nerves going in and think maybe I'll mess it up, and worked right out. So not a very high status job, but I'm hoping it'll be it's good for me with the family. I've been trying to get more concord with my schedule and theirs, and that is hard to get any better than driving a bus where you're off literally all the days the schools are off.
Nice.
So
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
School bus driver is an important job, actually. A lot of stuff goes on the bus. Need
yes,
somebody there.
it's really, I mean, with 50 kids behind you and you got to be safe just driving.
Yeah.
There's limits to what you can do, but it's not nothing. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that God will let me have a good influence on their lives to some extent.
There's no doubt.
That's a good
It's always,
prayer.
it's never enough, you know. I'm encouraged by your stories about the homeless people, Paul. Just because of the fact that you don't fix them, and
No.
I mean, you want to fix them. You want to. That's what I want to do anyway. There's times in my life where I've had opportunity to help people, and you think you pray for people, or you're able to, you know, maybe be some kind of a help or an encouragement. We've done foster parenting, and you know, you have kids in your house, and sometimes it's great and you can help, and then sometimes I have lacked the ability to be the foster parent those kids need.
Yep.
And I guess the only thing you can say is, I'm not God. I don't have enough of him, you know, and he'll have to sort out how to give out enough goodness for these guys, because I didn't get enough of it yet. But
No, that was actually one of our estuary topics earlier. I think it was in the morning, but just, you know, what happens in an impossible circumstance. I think it was in my group and not you three, but you know, when you have a situation where there is no answer, and yeah, some really, you know, personal stories come out of that, and inevitably it's like just facing that sometimes is the start of the healing process. Not always, but yeah.
On that note, I gotta tap out, guys.
Yeah, I gotta get to bed.
I probably should go too. I have CPR class in the morning. My job, so it's 11 here. I'll be fine to get up, but I really appreciate you guys having the time to talk to me. And yeah, I'm on Twitter. I don't know. Should I give out my handle? I don't know how
I think your last name begins with B, right?
Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah, I knew it. I actually picked up the book that you recommended too, so
I think you'll like it. I have to confess, I haven't finished it yet. I'm kind of like you. I'll get into stuff and not. I mean, I want to finish it. I will finish it, but man, the beginning stuff is like really knockout interesting. So
Serial killers need rest too.
yeah, you know, the serial killing isn't going to do itself.
Mark's
Nice bowl of cereal tomorrow.
Mark's just going to work, guys. He's just headed to work. Going to bed.
Is the right time.
Well, I hope I get to see you guys again sometime. But
Thank you.
y'all have a good one. I hope you enjoy your the estuary getaway meeting thing that you're doing. It sounds and looks lovely, so I hope that it's refreshing for y'all and you come back with new vigor and cool enlightened spirits and all that. And I will be listening if you don't see me again.
All right, great, Albert. I'll see you on Twitter.
All righty.
All right,
Good night.
good night.
Remember, everybody.
Oh, we need some branding. We need some
There
branding.
is no branding
What branding
agency.
should we have?
Linda Ronstadt.
I don't have any Linda Ronstadt branding. I do have. This is actually one of my favorite brandings.
Still I have it. There are moments I conveniently forget that I'm a 40-year-old man. The last vestiges of a ghost long dead. The ghost with a messiah complex. A messiah too lazy to rise or ascend. Happily hurt and hard. A hanger-on or haunting of a time past. A heroic dream of the harrowing of hell. Failure to launch. Cling to a life vest. Treading in spells that linger and last. Mom and Dad, righteous and mad, daydreamers with ghosts of their own. My memory of them stoic, looking with aims to pretend. Always on the brink of somewhere. Each a child dancing on the fence. On down the river. Dreamt in the sunshine. Saturday morning cartoons, the only Sabbath I knew. A disciple of Jim Henson and John Hughes. Worship in cathedrals where the Toys R Us, baptized in ball pits, a clown served the sacrament we eat. More Pepsi and Pizza Hut. Say please, say cheese. Between Kurt Cobain, a scrambled cable screen, towers tumbling, Super Bowls, and reality TV, the ghost is constitutionally unwilling and intrinsically unable to see and be seen, searching madly for attention to seek. but you can be anything. Never say never. If you've got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing, ever. Don't talk to strangers. See what I say, just do it. You don't listen very well, do you? You don't do very well, do you? You're not looking too good, are you? Keep up. Appearances aren't what they seem. Will you ever grow up? You look like you're stuck. I think you took too much. Echoes the ghost within the host, who prays the dead bury their dead and stay buried.